Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid and a very cold morning ramble. As you can probably tell, there's frost on the ground. We had a frost last night. The sun has still not come up. It's daybreak, but not yet sunrise. But I'm up here anyway. I want to talk to you today about Veterans Day, thanking veterans, and I'm going to tell a couple of war stories. As of this recording, we're a day away from Veterans Day. And a lot of people have been thanking me for my service. I talked about my military service 17,538 times in the Annoying Neighbor with the Crayon video, which is the video that brought many of you to this channel. Thanks for being here. I haven't talked about it much since that time because it's something, I do occasionally. I do it when I want to. I don't do it because people tell me I shouldn't do it. But I'm going to do it today because there's a question that several people have asked that I want to answer from my standpoint as a veteran, from my personal perspective, for me as an individual. I don't speak on the behalf of all veterans when I say this. Many veterans feel many different ways. We're people. We have varying opinions. But I've been asked just a couple days ago, somebody asked if as a veteran, I thought it was cliche when people say, thank you for your service, and do I wish they just wouldn't say it, or, and along those lines, a lot of you watching this video have said in the comments, thank you for your service. You've worded it, I've read it worded. I know you probably hear this all the time, and so it probably doesn't mean much, but I wanted to thank you for your service. Well, I'm going to address both of those points here now. I don't hear that very often. I don't think it's cliche. I've been home from the war for about 9 years, most of those years spent in the Philippines, of course. I heard, I heard it more in the Philippines from Filipinos than I have in the U.S. from Americans. And as far, thank you or some sort of respect shown to me for my service. Of course, the U.S. has liberated the Philippines twice, first from Spain after their 433-year rule, and then from Japan in the Second World War. And we've been protecting them from China quite a bit in the last decade or so, and we've helped them rout terrorist networks in Mindanao. But in the U.S., maybe I hear it twice a year, if that. And is it cliche when I hear it? Absolutely not. It stops me in my tracks, and I almost cry whenever I do hear it. I can tell you, as a matter of fact, the last time I heard it, because of how rare it is, and I'm not complaining. I'm not saying everybody should thank me. That's not what I'm saying. If that's what you're taking away from this, that says more about you than it does me. I have never said that. I don't think anybody owes me anything because I'm a veteran. I volunteered. I enlisted by my own free will. I knew what I was getting into. I was in my 30s when I did it. So nobody owes me anything. Now, the last time somebody thanked me for my service, I was at Lowe's with Dearly, my beautiful bride, and I think it's when we bought the 10-pound sledgehammer in the Diamond Mall I've been using to bust up these big firewood rounds. I use my 10% veterans discount at Lowe's. They keep my phone number on file there, so as the cashier handing me my receipt, she goes, here you go, sir, blah, 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 total is whatever. And she goes, and by the way, sir, and she looked at me and she made eye contact and she was very sincere and she said, thank you for your service. And I stopped in mid-stride to thank her for thanking me, and I had to hold back a tear. It's not cliche. It is very meaningful. And believe it or not, like you guys say in the comments, I know you probably hear this all the time, but thank you for your service. No, we don't hear it all the time. I had a friend in the past who, he's not anti-America, he's not anti-military, he's not anti any of this stuff, but he's of the he hates, I hate war, like Dwight Eisenhower said. I hate war as only a man who's seen war can hate war. This person said to me once, he said, Kevin, I don't know what to say when I see veterans. That's why I don't say anything. He said, I don't agree with a lot of what goes on, what the U.S. does militarily, but I know I don't hold that against the individuals who serve. I really appreciate what they do. I just don't know what to do, so I say nothing. I think that guy has a pretty good perspective on things. He's older. He's probably in his 50s now. He's mature, and I would call him wise. I mean, it goes back to the golden rule. I mean, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And it's not that this guy has anything not nice to say. He just doesn't know what to say, so he says nothing at all. And that's okay, too. If you want to come on my channel and in the comments blast me and tell me how I guarded the poppy fields, because I get that. I get that every day. We get several comments a day like that. I was not in Afghanistan. I was in Iraq. But if you want to accuse me of doing my part for the New World Order, guarding the poppy fields, all this stuff, feel free, go ahead. I am a big boy who's been through quite a bit. I've got thick skin. It won't bother me. However, don't say that to other. I mean, just, my brothers and sisters who served, a lot of them are going through a lot. And, 22 of them a day are committing suicide, and they're not doing it because some troll on the internet is saying thanks for guarding the poppy seeds. There's a lot to it. And tomorrow, from this recording, when it actually is Veterans Day, I may talk about my take on the suicide epidemic. I researched it heavily and wrote about it quite a bit when I used to write for Yahoo News and some other outlets. But I mean, that's the long version, and I'm out here heavering again. I don't know how to tell the short version of any story, and if you follow this channel, you know that by now. But that's the long version of, no, it's not cliche to thank veterans for their service. And if you feel like thanking veterans for your service, I'm sure most of them would appreciate hearing it. Now, war stories. I was thinking about these things this morning because it is coming on Veterans Day, and I did want to answer that question. What I can tell you about war stories is that the things you remember are not the shoot 'em up, bang 'em up explosions, all these, the stuff you see in the movies. Well, I had two memories this morning while I'm thinking about this. I'm going to share them with you. The two memories that are coming to my mind this morning are the memories of a desert princess and a laughing hyena. You're thinking, oh gosh, Crazy Lake, what are you talking about now? Desert princess and a laughing hyena. I think I see the sun back there starting to come up. It's at the tippy top of some trees back there. It's beautiful. I'll tell you what, guys. I've been around the world, been in a lot of countries, lived overseas for years, and I am very happy and I'm very content, and I feel very blessed to be on my Central Virginia homestead here in Albemarle County, Virginia. There is nowhere else in the world I would rather be. I watched that sunrise behind me. I saw that sunrise in the Middle East. I saw it rise in Southeast Asia. I've seen it rise all over the United States, and I just don't think there's anywhere for it to rise as beautifully as it does right here in Central Virginia on my homestead. So, anyway, who was the Desert Angel? She was a beautiful 8-year-old little Iraqi girl who was wearing rags and no shoes and was out on the dusty highway one day when we were making our way back to Mosul from Zakho in northern Iraq, part of the country known as Kurdistan. Zakho, we would truck up there every night doing our convoy security. We supplied security for the major supply lines coming in from Turkey. And I can talk about this now. We're out of there, have been for almost a decade. And the village children would also run after our truck, so we'd throw candy and stuff. There for a while, in certain parts we couldn't do it because some kids had gotten run over, and that's terrible. That's sad. And but then they said we could. They were always changing every rule, not just the rules of engagement, but all the rules always change. It depends on, they'd change leadership in Iraq, or leadership would change in Washington, and just somebody would change the rules to show that they were the new guy. So we were going down the highway, and a lot of times we would make sure to take some extra snacks when we were on post for these trips because we knew the children would come. We knew where they were coming. And by the time I was there in 08 and 09, the children knew to keep a safe distance back from the trucks. They wouldn't run right up to the trucks. And we'd toss them snacks. We'd toss them candy. And we got a lot of gift boxes sent to us from people in the U.S. who were appreciative, who were grateful. They would just shove a bunch of candy, beef jerky, toothbrushes, toothpaste, deodorant in these boxes, and they'd mail them to Iraq, and we had them coming like daily. I'd get them, I'd go through them, I'd use what I could use, the toiletries, and I'd keep the candy, the snacks, even the beef jerky, and I'd give to the Iraqi children while we're on convoy. And so we're going down the highway this day. We'd given out all our candy, all our food, and there was this little girl standing by the road, and we drove by. We made eye contact, and she reminded me of my daughters. She was about the same age, even though she was Iraqi. She had the same eyes, very similar eyes, and for an instant in my head, she was my daughters. And I had no candy left. I had no food, but I had a sticker. I had several stickers in this box. Somebody had sent stickers of American flags. I guess they thought maybe we had a shortage on base. We didn't. I took one of these stickers, and my first thought was, what would this little girl want with a sticker of an American flag? She's an Iraqi. Maybe part of her isn't happy with the fact that we're here. I tossed a sticker of a United States flag at her, the red, the white, and the blue, and she saw it. She bent over, she picked it up, and we were going by slowly, and when her eyes saw what she had picked up from the ground, what an American soldier had thrown to her, her eyes got bigger than I'd ever seen those kids' eyes get when they got a pack of gum or an entire pack of beef jerky. And she looked at me like I had just given her a pound of gold. Her friends who were there, who had caught candy and who had caught beef jerky, looked over. She held up her American flag, still in awe. They saw what she had. They dropped their candy and they dropped their jaws in awe. And they looked at me like, who was this guy that gave her an American flag? I tell you, that flag meant more to her than any amount of candy or beef jerky, and the look on her face and the tears that rolled down her cheeks as we drove away matched those running down mine, and that moment meant so much to me. She didn't say the words, "Thank you for your service," but she projected, "Thank you for your service," and I picked up what she was laying down, and I just refer to her as the Desert Princess. That's what I think about when people say, "Oh, tell me about Iraq," which is rare, and I'm grateful that people don't say such things, because I really don't want to tell you too much about Iraq, even though I told you 17,538 times in the Neighbor with Crayon video. And then that night, the laughing hyena. Guys, one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life, which I don't do anymore, was smoke cigarettes. I started smoking in Iraq. I started chewing tobacco in airborne school shortly before I went to Iraq. I no longer do either. Those were very hard addictions to break. If you don't do it, don't start. But I started smoking cigarettes when I was in Iraq, and I don't begrudge the fact that I started smoking cigarettes in Iraq. When you're in a place where things make no sense, you'll often do things that make no sense. And so I'm never going to try to make sense of why I started smoking. But there was a place outside of our CHUs, that's CHU, stands for Company Housing Units, where we had a designated smoking area, and we would go into these large culverts, cement, concrete culverts, because they were safe if mortars came in, which they came in all day and all night, and we could smoke in there, and if a mortar went off close to us, we'd survive. So it's about 3 o'clock in the morning. We had just recently gotten back from post. I tried to go to sleep. I couldn't. So I go outside to have a cigarette. I'm in this culvert, and I'm smoking, and I'm thinking about this Desert Angel, this little girl, and the American flag. I'm thinking about my little girls. And I hear crunching in the gravel. So I look over, wondering who's coming in to join me for a smoke, and there's no one there. But then I sense movement closer to the ground. I look down, and there's a hyena walking in the culvert. This hyena walks in maybe 4 or 5 feet away from me and sits down on its back haunches and just looks at me. So I'm smoking a cigarette, and I say, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing?" And we'd seen them around the area before. It's the Syrian striped hyenas who are indigenous to that area. And I just smoked the cigarette while the hyena sat there and watched, and I took my last drag. Just before I flipped it out, the hyena got up, it walked out of there, and it walked away. I gave it a minute or so, safe a time frame to clear out. I went out, I looked around, it was gone. I was thinking about these things this morning, and I've talked before on this channel about animal totems. With the deer that are always here means family, fun. The eagle is the messenger. It represents victory moving forward. And it never occurred to me to find out what the totem of the hyena was. But I was remembering these stories today, the desert angel, my girls, and the hyena. So I Googled it. The hyena, the meaning, the message behind the hyena is about change and about being grateful for what you have today, despite at times what you wish you had, perhaps what you wish you still had. I can tell you that today I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have my beautiful bride. I'm grateful to have my healthy son. I'm grateful to be sitting on this beautiful Central Virginia homestead watching the sunrise behind me on this very frigid, frosty morning. I'm grateful to each and every single man and woman, past, present, and future, who served, who will serve, and who are serving today. If you are a veteran, if you're an active service member, I humbly thank you for your service. I want to thank each and every single one of you for being here with me today for another morning ramble. And here's your beautiful parting shot of my homestead.